So to me, I've always thought like the menstrual cycle is just such an obvious, here's your high, here's your
Oh, I
low.
begged them to give me a
I
hysterectomy.
save shows to binge watch during that deep luteal and menstrual
It's
phase. That's how we live our best, healthiest
I
lives.
wasn't worthy, and he didn't even have the sympathy to what I was going through.
The younger doctors are getting better information and they're learning on their own time better as well. So I think I have hope.
Welcome to another episode. Here with me is Sasha, the period coach, and we have a lovely pre-recording meeting where she explained to me something that I didn't know. I thought the period was my enemy, was reminding me, oh, you don't have kids, you couldn't have kids. And she blew my mind with all that she knows about the period. So, how are you, Sasha? Welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I am really looking forward to this. All morning I've been like, "Ooh, I can't wait. This is gonna be so fun."
Yeah, the little pre-recording meeting we did was mind-blowing. Can't stop thinking about that, about all the things that I didn't know about my period, even though I'm 43 and I should have known. No
I
one,
wish we all knew this stuff earlier. I really did. But when you look at like society, when you look at, I mean, in the US, the laws being made, it's all about fertility. Like
yeah,
you really are a useless human being if you're not making a baby,
yeah,
basically, especially these days. So knowing that your period actually is vastly more than just that one thing makes a huge difference. And this is coming from somebody who has endometriosis, so I had really very painful periods. Like I would pass out from the
yeah,
pain, and it was a really mess. Traumatic. I mean, I was in like trauma therapy with complex PTSD and everything from the pain of it for decades. So I know what it is to absolutely loathe your period, loathe your cycle, hate that whole process and part of you, and then learn what it's doing, other things, how it's connected, what's happening, your short-term health, your long-term health, all of these things and how it's all connected. And as I started doing that and healing that relationship, and of course, figuring out some of the other things like food and lifestyle and movement, all those kinds of things I needed to do to reduce the endo symptoms, it really changed that relationship significantly. And I wish we could do this for every woman around the globe. I mean, there's a reason I have two businesses, a nonprofit and a for-profit, both doing the same thing, just basically menstrual education everywhere in every nook and cranny you can possibly get into. It's just so important, and we don't know it. We are not taught it. We don't learn it. Most of our teachers don't know it. Most people don't. So it's very much like you have to go, I want to change this relationship. How and seek that out. It really does make it hard. So that's why I'm like, let's go on to every podcast ever and let's talk about it.
I have endometriosis too, and what the doctors always told me was like, when you get pregnant, everything is going to be so easy, and everything is going to you will never suffer again from period cramps. Or I didn't get pregnant because endometriosis makes
Mhm.
it that difficult. And it was like, help me now. I'm 15. I don't
Me,
want to.
I was 15 when my doctor was like, oh, just get pregnant. And I was like, I'm 15.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm 15. I'm in high school,
Yeah.
and I have that complicated relationship with my period because of that. I was like in this incredible pain that, oh, you're over dramatic. I'm puking my guts out from the pain. I'm passing out from the pain. I'm not being over dramatic. Actually, when made this tattoo in my elbow, I fall asleep. And
Yeah.
the guy that was tattooing me was like, I never saw this. All the, like, the guys cry. And you're like, "Ugh." I started laughing at my fingers moving alone. And then it was like, oh, I'm uncomfortable and I'm bored. So
Same
my
here.
pain tolerance is off the charts.
Yeah, same here. I had the same thing. I fell asleep during a tattoo, and the guy was like, "Oh my God, no one falls asleep during a tattoo on that spot of their body. What is?" I was like, "Don't worry about it. I have a very high pain threshold. You're fine. Just keep going. Do we
We're,
want to do
we're
another?"
two weirdos with endometriosis.
Yeah, he was like, "Man, if all of my clients were like you." I was like, "No, don't wish that upon people. You don't know what
No,
got me here."
no, but tell me a little more about our period because
Yeah.
cycles and what it does, the hormones, everything. I want to know everything.
Yeah, well, one of the first things that really blew my mind was the fact that every single day there's some hormonal shift that's going on that's part of your menstrual cycle. So the first thing was that it's not just your period, not your period. It's every day. There's hormonal shifts and ebbs and flows and changes, and it's predictable. You can know what's coming next. You can go, oh, all right, I'm day 5. Tomorrow, I'm going to be able to do a 4 mile hike with the dogs. Or it's day 20. In 2 days, I'm not going to feel great. I'm going to go batch cook so I've got food in the freezer. Like, you can really understand what's happening and knowing as your estrogen rises, your energy rises, your extroversion rises, your ability to want to do group things, adventure, new things, try new things, learn new things arises. Your verbal skills rise. As your progesterone rises, your visual skills, spatial skills rise. Your dreams become more vivid and memorable. There's just so many actual perks that we don't know about. So and everyone is different, right? Like your cycle might be 24 days, somebody else's is 32, somebody's fluctuates, right? Like a plus or minus 7 days is within the realm of normal for like a normal period. It wouldn't be considered irregular. So there's just a lot that you can predict, and then it can make everything easier because you can know what's coming next, you can know what you're going to feel like next, and you can play to those strengths. So it's just all of this stuff that we thought, boy, I had no idea. So when I started learning this, I realized, okay, I want to really harness my follicular phase. So that time after you get your period, when you start to feel your energy on the rise,
Yeah.
you may or may not still be bleeding, but you start to feel your energy kind of coming up. That's your estrogen rising. So I was like, okay, I really want to okay, I know that for me, about day 5, I can start moving and shaking and entering the world again and come out of my endocoma and move on. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to start using that. So I'm going to really book new things. We're going to go to the gardens. We're going to, do the hikes. We're going to go do the fun stuff. I'm going to tackle the, Kartra back end tech connection thing because my brain can handle it in this
Yeah.
phase, right? And then I would go, okay, and then ovulation, which we're going to have a whole conversation just about ovulation here in a second. But after ovulation, you go into luteal, and then I call it deep luteal because there's two distinct shifts in your luteal phase. And while doesn't consider those different phases, I do because you are two different people in this time. So you have this luteal phase where you do have a little bit more estrogen again. After your ovulation, it dips, but then it comes back up in this luteal phase. You also have progesterone coming up, so it's like a softer energy, but you're still got that energy. And oftentimes it sort of moves towards the home. Progesterone is a bit of a nesting hormone. So you start to impulsively buy throw pillows and candles and things in luteal. And there was actual study done on money, and that's true. You do impulse buy those little tchotchke things more in this phase. And then you go into that deep luteal phase, and then your estrogen comes down, your progesterone comes down. It's a couple of days before you get your period, but everyone knows it as PMS, which
Yeah.
is not a phase of your cycle. It is a hormonal imbalance. Just one more time for the back, not a part of your cycle, a hormonal imbalance. But you feel differently, and it is very much like internal. I think of it as autumn. It's that time where you're shutting up the house,
Yeah.
you're putting this stuff away, you're getting out the heavy blankets, you're brewing the hot cocoa. It's just time to get cozy and chillax. So
Yeah.
each of those phases has a strength. For work, for life, for movement, for food, for everything. There's a strength to it. And the more I leaned into those phases where I felt good, the better I had that relationship with my cycle as a whole. So I could kind of separate just this bad time from the rest of that cycle. And that really helped change that perspective big time. But then I learned about ovulation. And it turns out ovulation is really the make or break in your cycle. Like you can have a period without ovulating. You can have a period with, you always have your period after you ovulate, but you can skip ovulation and still have a period, which is what happens in perimenopause, or like if you get sick or something, you might get stressed out, you move home or something and you might skip your period, but you probably skipped your ovulation is what happened. And then you skipped your period because your body just didn't get around to it that month. But you're basically ovulation is the only way for your body to make progesterone. When you have your ovary and when your egg, the one winner, right? So you in your follicular phase, you ripen about 10 to 15 follicles and your body picks the winner, the one egg that it thinks is like the best, strongest representation. So that one egg pops out. Theoretically, sometimes two, then you get fraternal twins, but usually just the one. And when it pops out, there's a space left in the ovary, and that space becomes the corpus luteum, which is an organ that is the most highly vascularized organ in your body for its short lifespan. And it just pumps out progesterone and then it collapses and it stops pumping out the progesterone, and that signals your body to have your period. If you're pregnant, it will stay pumping out progesterone, and that will keep you from menstruating. So theoretically, with a healthy pregnancy, that would happen. But for so many of us, right, miscarriage is a huge thing.
Mm,
Most women have several in a lifetime, though we don't talk about it, so we don't know that about each
mm,
other. I think a lot of problems can happen from there. But if you are ovulating, you're making progesterone. And in the short term, progesterone is helpful for balancing estrogen. So, kind of reducing maybe the mood swings, the kind of manic, crazy feelings that can happen, or that like real depressed or
yeah,
very feeling, right? Or both, right? It could be both. So, it helps to level that out. It helps you sleep. It helps your hair, skin, nails, bones, everything be better, brighter, healthier. In the short term, it's an anti-inflammatory, so it helps reduce your risks of illness. It also helps reduce, other inflammations, things that can happen, right? Because technically a baby is a foreign invader, so it helps reduce the foreign invader issue, right? So
yeah,
it's a lot that it does, but it also is how you have health in your postmenopausal years. When you are in your menstruating years, ovulation, progesterone is what is helping you build your bone density. It's what's helping protect your heart, your cardiovascular system. The number one killer of women, cardiovascular disease, heart issues, the number one killer. And progesterone is one of our best defenses in our later years, but you have to stockpile it now so that postmenopausal, you have a really thick, dense bones, healthy cardiovascular system, so that as you go through your store, you're not hitting 70 and breaking a hip. You're making it to 80, 90 before you reach those bone density issues, right? So we're seeing because so many women are on birth control, they're not ovulating, they're not getting any progesterone. There's progestin in birth control, which is not progesterone, two different things. So we're not getting progesterone, and now we're seeing cases of earlier onset osteoporosis, much worse osteoporosis, earlier heart issues, earlier cardiovascular system issues. We're seeing all of these repercussions of women who are not ovulating throughout their fertile, quote unquote, years, whether you choose to use that fertility or not. I did not. So, but I want all my progesterone, right? So I want to
yeah.
make sure ovulating healthy every month so that I'm getting that progesterone. And then in perimenopause, taking progesterone as part of hormone therapy so that I continue to have that very important hormone as long and as late as I can, frankly. So really ovulation, sure, it can make a baby, but What it really does is protect, oh, and dementia. I forgot about that. 70 to 80% of dementia and Alzheimer's are women. And we know that progesterone helps protect your brain health as well. So, bone health, brain health, and heart health, all based on are you ovulating every month regularly for like 40 years?
I'm screwed because
Us
they
are.
they gave me so much birth control for the endometriosis.
Me too.
Like, oh, take this 2 years.
That's why. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm taking progesterone. I'm in about stage two of perimenopause. So stage one is something that most people wouldn't notice. It's your period gets like a day shorter cycles than you've ever had before. So unless you're
Yeah.
charting, you notice. And you'll skip an ovulation or two, but again, you won't notice because you'll get your period. Have a lifetime of the uterine lining built up. So it will still get your period even if you don't ovulate for a while. So you won't notice if you're not confirming ovulation with your basal body temperature or you're not charting, which is why like all I ever do is talk about charting and tracking basal body temperature. And on our podcast, that's all Katie and I talk about. Like I feel like every episode we're like, "Hey, are you charting?" But it's important because then you know. And then stage two is when you start getting like 19-day cycle, then a 34-day cycle, and then a 2 week cycle, so it gets real kind of crazy in stage two, which is where I went when I was in stage one. I went down and I went to my doctor and I said, I have skipped ovulation. I had a single day shorter cycle this year. I am definitely in stage one of perimenopause. I want to start progesterone. She was like, okay. Well, you have endometriosis. I can give you a prescription right now for the for progesterone for endometriosis. And I was like, done, let's do it. She's like, okay, great. So it was really easy. But find a doctor that will be on your side. But I
Yeah.
was like, immediately I'm starting progesterone. And so I'm taking it now. Even if I ovulate, I'm taking just even like 20, 30 milligrams just to supplement it because I want to make sure that I make up for those years that I was on birth control and experimental birth control and all kinds of crazy stuff for the endo.
When we finish this recording, I'm going to do the same because,
You should. I
but
really recommend
I
talk
also
with her doctor.
have to find a doctor that I can talk about this stuff
Yeah.
because there is a lot of dismissal. There is a long lot of mansplaining, especially with male doctor. It's like, oh no, your period. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
I never knew the period like you described, but when you were telling me like day five is this, and I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I had like this was like the period start, ovulation, period begins again, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, which honestly, I stopped counting how many people didn't even know ovulation existed early in my career, 15, 20 years ago. But like if you know ovulation exists, you're already head and shoulders above the majority of human beings on the face of the planet, let alone,
Maybe
understand.
maybe I knew it because I felt it. Like it was a little dizziness and oh, this is ovulation. But I didn't even know the like in my mind it was like an egg said, "Oh, I'm here." That because that's the level of explanation I got.
Yeah. I know. And then they don't tell you things like your sleep, your mood, your energy levels, your ability to learn, your ability to remember, brain fog, fatigue. All of these things are related to your cycle. All of these things are related to your reproductive hormones. And if you are, you know, actively working towards balance. And I don't want to say balanced because it's not something where it's like, oh, you get to balance and then you never think about it again. You're perfect forever. That's just not how it works. But if you're actively caring for your body and incorporating your menstrual cycle as part of that active caring for your body, that
Yeah.
active self-care, then you stay in a better state of balance and you can adjust and move and ebb and flow with your cycle and your needs. Then a lot of those things start to disappear and people are just their minds are blown when that starts to happen. I mean, as
Yeah.
easy as something like eating with your cycle. This is where I started my business was Food and Flow, which I still have to this day because it's such an anchor point for what I do. But even just including foods that you already know and like, but just doing it in a way that helps support the hormones in each phase of the cycle, like raw foods in this phase, cooked foods in that phase, sweet potatoes in this phase, there's these little things can actually help bring a little bit more balance. And then people start to feel better. And then they kind of go, okay, well, what can we do next? And we're like, okay, next we can tackle something a little harder. But like, you just get that little win under your belt where you start to feel a
Yeah.
little bit better. And then it makes everything easier. But until you can do that and you can go, okay, I need to work with my cycle. Like, this is a team effort here, it's a relationship. We have to work together on this. It's really tough to get that done.
And thinking like that helps me a lot to befriend my cycle instead of thinking about I'm ovulating for nothing and I'm bleeding for nothing, and you're just telling me I've a lot of times I feel like my body is pointing the finger at me and saying, ha ha, it's like that monthly reminder, you couldn't be a man. And understanding that I can work with that to the days I'm more on the low thing, on low energy, and I can collage or crochet or stay in my couch and do some craft art that I love and schedule something more energetic on my sorry, brain fart on my higher energy levels. It's so amazing because I would stop fighting my own body, my own hormones.
Yeah, I mean, even my partner loves it. He'll be like, "Are you getting close to luteal? I can't wait to have a movie night on the couch." Like, well, I save shows to binge watch during that deep luteal and menstrual phase, and like, every month, he's like, "Is it time? Can we binge watch yet? Are we there? Can we just relax on the couch?" Like, he looks forward to that downtime. But then vice versa, he's like, "Okay, let's go to the botanical gardens. Like, you
Yeah.
tell me when you're back on your feet, and we'll go down to the botanical gardens and stuff." So that's the thing. Like, I've always thought that menstrual cycles were just training wheels for wise women to live cyclical lives without periods, but then to be that example for men, for children, for people without cycles for whatever reason, so that you can see what it is to live very much cyclically in harmony, the ebb and flow, the light and dark, the full moon, the new moon, the winter, the summer, right? Like,
The sea tides.
yeah. Yes, exactly. So to me, I've always thought like the menstrual cycle is just such an obvious, here's your high, here's your low, here's your go do stuff, here's your rest and digest, here's your workout, here's your recovery. Like,
Yeah.
it really shows you so clearly both sides of the coin. You need to lift weights and you need to recover. You need to eat raw,
Mm.
fresh greens. You need to eat warm cooked stews. Those are, that's how we live our best, healthiest lives. Diversity, ups and downs,
Mm.
learning, retaining, right? So to me, the menstrual cycle has always just been this really blatant example of high, low. And then you hopefully learn how to do that well in your menstrual years so that when you go into menopause, you can just do the same thing with the moon cycles and go, okay, new moon, I'm going to chill at home. Full moon, let's go party. Like, you can keep that
Yeah.
cyclical rhythm and still give yourself that time to rest. We don't have a culture that likes or appreciates rest. So to
Yeah.
me, I think I joked about this in The Revolution Will Be Bloody, my first book, that one of your biggest acts of rebellion, of overthrowing the patriarchy, of destroying capitalism, of all of these things is just resting, taking care of yourself, radical self-care, resting, relaxing, and advocating for others to do the same. I talk about being a couch activist for menstrual cycles, and
Mm.
that's one of the best things you can do is advocating, doing it for yourself, bragging about it, and advocating that other people also join you and be lazy.
Yes. I like. every time I had, especially in high school, I had my period, I had to stay home in bed. And I heard a lot of, oh, you're so lazy. Yeah, well, first it was the pain, then it was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to risk myself to, so I'm going to hang in my bed, watch TV, and nothing else. So I kind of learned to rest. I have still that voice of, you should be doing something productive. I was like, yeah, I have been doing something productive for the last week. So today is my no-brain activity day.
Yeah, same. It's the shoulding myself. I'm like, stop shoulding myself. I should, but I'm not going to. And I don't. I don't need to. I shouldn't. But I hear you. I hear you shoulding me, but I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think that's something that I would love to think that one day that little voice in my head telling me I need to get up and go get something done will disappear, but I don't know if it ever will. I am a classic type A overachiever, I run
Yeah.
three businesses, but I still am like, no, I really need those rest days. So I don't know if it ever goes away. But for me, so far it hasn't. But I don't, it, okay, I hear you, but I'm not going to. And I'm hoping, and this is where it's like, time will only tell, but I'm hoping I can take that with me into menopause because right now, like you, I don't really have much of a choice. If I get up and move, I'll be in extreme pain. The being chill on the couch is what keeps it manageable. So
Yeah.
if I have to get up and get moving, it will be in pain. So I still get that pain smackdown. If I don't have that pain smackdown, will I rest? I don't know. But I'm hoping that I will have learned my lesson well by the time I get to menopause. And I am getting better at it especially in perimenopause, because you get into that irregular, you're not quite sure what's going on. You
Yeah.
really have to be very present. And I'm hoping that's teaching me how to be more present in menopause too. We'll see. Time will tell.
I'm having hot flashes at between 1 and 2 a.m. And it's winter here. So it's like I'm boiling in this bed and I start taking the sheets off and it's like I'm freezing. So I spend half an hour blankets on, blankets off. And it's like, what the fuck? Why don't you do this at 2 p.m.? Like I'm awake and yeah,
Yeah, I've that's always happened to me. My whole from a teen on, I've had hot flashes with my endometriosis, and from all accounts, it's the exact same. So I was like, I don't know if I'll know if it's an endo hot flash or a menopause hot flash. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to tell the difference or if I'll just be like, it doesn't matter. It's still a hot flash, like either way. I've lived with it for 30 some odd years now. I'll make it.
no, I remember my mom having hot flashes, and also I talk about this with another guest. She's a social worker, but we dive in this theme because my mom never told me anything. Like when I had my first period was like, here you have a pad, and that was it. And then I saw her having hot flashes, but we never talk about anything else. It's like, I'm having hot flash. And now I'm discovering so many things that no one told me about. Because also, most my doctors were male. And I was like, yeah, you're going through a normal thing, but explain it to me. Because I want to know. I want to know my body. Oh, no, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, most doctors don't have any training. I mean, even OBGYNs don't really have training on perimenopause or even the menstrual cycle as a whole. A
Yeah,
lot of them don't really have any training on that. So when you go in to talk to them, I know far more than any doctor I've ever been to about the menstrual cycle. I
yeah.
always end up having to educate them. At this point, I'm like, here's my book, read it, and then we'll have our appointment. Like, you do your homework, and then we'll talk. Like,
Yeah.
it is very frustrating, although we interviewed a younger doctor for Summit a couple years ago who was like, listen, I got to tell you, the doctors that I went to school with, we're doing our own. Like, we're learning more, we're researching more, we're asking those questions. So we're getting a
Yeah.
little bit more training, though it's still abysmal, but we are doing our own research. We're looking at
Yeah.
studies, doing our own stuff. So the younger doctors are getting better information and they're learning on their own time better as well. So I think I have hope.
Yeah, me
And
too.
one of the reasons I go to Planned Parenthood here in the States for my OBGYN care, because they're usually younger doctors there, which for my needs means they're just more informed. They have more of the recent studies and current information. So for me, a younger doctor in that way is actually more advantageous. So I usually stick to Planned Parenthood in the States, although I know we're defunding them now, so who knows. But a younger doctor may be the way to go. It might be one of those things where you do, like, I got to find an OBGYN who's going to help me with,
The
HRT or hormone
progesterone.
thing. And I'm going to just go and call doctors that, their headshots look a little younger on their sites and they're,
Yeah.
or women, that kind of thing, because you might get better responses. That's what I do here. I'm like, I need to find a nice young lady to be my doctor because she'll
Yeah,
actually.
the thing is like for a lot of childless women, me included, going to the which I can't, I'm brave farting hard. The with all the pregnant ladies are the newborn babies, it's super triggering. And I don't know why they gave you a time and date, and then you have to wait 40 plus minutes to. It's like I have a life too, I need to. And I used to go to a gyno here, and he like let every woman pass before me because you don't have kids. And one day I was like really mad about it, and I was tired, and I get up and I started to leave, and the secretary and him like, no, no, you are not taking me into a consideration. And I've been here 2.5 hours. I have other things to do. And no, please. And there was a mother that started screaming at me, oh, because you're not pregnant, you don't care. No, you are not respecting me also. So the medical landscape is a tricky one. So parenthood, not for me. It's not here in Argentina, but not for me. I don't want to see pregnant women. Oh, I'm going to plan my third kid. Okay.
I know, and it's crazy because it's like there's other value that you have as a human being. It's not the only, it's crazy making in that
Yeah.
way. It's just, and you don't know, like you don't know what somebobody's going through. You don't know what's happening. I mean, it's like seeing somebody and going, "Oh, when are you due?" And they're like, "I'm not pregnant. I'm just fat or bloated or whatever." Like I get endo belly, and
Me
somebody will
too.
say, far along are you? And I'm like, I'm not, I'm just fat. Like,
Yeah.
it's
It
end
had
up,
happened to me.
right? You're not going to explain, oh, I have endometriosis. It swells you up. It makes you look like you're pregnant. I'm not pregnant. I can't have kids. I have a disease. Like, I just go, oh, I'm fat and move on. But like, it's having to have that conversation on the street regularly is so frustrating and so annoying that it's like, I just won't leave my house until the bloat goes down because I don't want to have the conversation. Because
Yeah.
then you're sitting there and you're like, do I just say I'm fat or do I actually educate this human? Do I take the time? Like, it blows my mind that in this day and age we can't have just understanding, empathy,
And
common,
boundaries.
right? Yes.
Just don't comment in someone else's body.
Yeah. Or even if I wanted to have kids and having a disability, do I though? Like, can I keep up? Would that be the best environment for them?
Yeah.
I mean, it's taking care of the dogs is hard enough, Like, I can't have 4 days in bed doing nothing if I have kids. What if it doesn't get better if I have kids? What if because it doesn't always happen
No.
for people. Or what if I had a different disability that didn't go away if you got pregnant? Maybe. Like there's so many reasons for women, just aside from finances, to not have children that
Yes.
having this like forced. either you're pregnant or you're raising kids or you're worthless attitude, especially from other women. My God. F- That's the, I know, I get it. It's that whole like you can't have a patriarchy without the aunties, that you have to have the enforcers, the women
Yeah.
who put women down. It's the only way patriarchy will succeed is if we have women who will bully other women. But it just, every time I see it happens, it just breaks me a little bit. It breaks my heart.
Yeah. But I was so bullied when I was a kid that it's like you bully me and I don't fucking care. Like
Hmm.
it's I all I hear is you know, it's yeah, okay. You do you, I'm going to go away.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course I went to another doctor. I never went
Yes.
back because it's like
Absolutely. Nor should you. There's no reason to put up with the disrespect. There are other options.
and he knew I did fertility treatments. He knew like I did 3 rounds of IUI. He knew I struggled with fertility. That it wasn't like, no, I don't care, I don't have kids, and I don't care about the moms because they are shit. No, it was I need to get my consultation going and I
Yeah.
can't have kids, but I have other things going on.
But even if you didn't, right? Even if you
Yeah,
just
but
kids, that shouldn't be, oh, well, then you don't matter. You're not important. Get out of the way. That you're still a human being. My God.
yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he didn't even I wasn't worthy and he didn't even have the sympathy to what I was going through.
Yeah.
He didn't even consider what he was putting up to
Yeah.
me, you know, like he was feeding
Oh,
me the forcing me to feel like inadequate because I couldn't.
yeah. Oh, it never
Because
crossed.
yeah, because when you're child free, when you choose not to have kids, at least you have the like this is my choice kind of attitude that is my choice. But when it's not your choice, I felt worse, you know, because I felt like was being punished because I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the same. I hear that same from most cultures around the world.
Yeah,
It's really just depressing. And then again, it's making a human life boil down to one thing that
yeah,
a huge portion of the population they cannot, even if they wanted to, have a baby for whatever reason. And fertility rates are going down, so that's only going to go up. The
yeah,
amount of women and men who can't have children, can't successfully parent a kid, then it's just going to continue to go up. So it's just going to be more and more people that we deem absolutely worthless,
yeah.
worse than worthless, broken, useless, a failure. It's just, it makes me crazy. It's unsustainable. It's like so much that's coming to a head these days in a lot of societies around the world. The fact is it's just an unsustainable attitude, approach,
Yeah.
life have, and we're not going to be able to continue this way.
No, but in the flip side of that, there's people like you and me that I'm talking about childlessness and you're talking about the period. And we are informing ourselves daily about the topic we choose between quotes choose because I think childlessness chose me and you for the period chose you
Yeah,
because endometriosis.
totally.
But we are trying to help and inform and advocate, and that I think it's helping a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I know every now and then I have a client who's on the edge of either suicide or accidental overdosing, quote
Yeah,
unquote, from the pain or the PMDD, the mood swings, those kinds of things. And every now and then I get an email that's just like, "Hey, by the way, I went and did a bucket list item with my husband. Thank you so much. Like, I wouldn't be here today to go do this amazing thing if it weren't
Mm.
for your help." And when I started this work, that didn't even occur to me as an option. I just wanted to help somebody else not be in pain. Like, I just wanted to stop somebody else's period from causing them horrific pain.
Yeah,
And then it comes, and I mean, I was the same way. I was like, if I wouldn't didn't throw up all the time from the pain, I would have 100% taken a whole bottle of pain meds and just gone to sleep and called it a day. Like I was done more
yeah,
times than I.
yeah,
But now have people who, even years later, I'll get an email from a client that's like, just heads up, I went to see the cherry blossoms in Japan and I've always wanted to do that, and I would be dead now if it weren't for you and the work that we did. And I'm here and I went and I just wanted to send this picture of me and the cherry blossoms, and it makes me cry every time, 100%.
sure.
But I didn't think about that as a possibility. So not only is this work just important for people's mental health and physical health and that kind of thing, but then to think like actually saving lives doing it too is just mind-boggling. Like every time I think, oh my God, I saved somebody's life, my brain just goes, oh, I don't know how to process that at all. Like I don't know what to do with that. I don't know where to put that. I do not have that like part of my brain that's like, oh yeah, good job, me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. It's a very weird place in my brain. But the fact is that it keeps happening and it's just like blows my mind every time. And then, of course, everybody else who's like, oh my gosh, and my relationship with my period changed. I see it in a totally different light. I have less pain, less mood swings, less fatigue, less brain fog, all those kinds of things. It's just like, yes, we're just making women feel better. And that to me is like, that's it. I just wanted to make women feel better.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. Let's see how long I can do this and then and how many more I can help. And then I don't know, eventually I guess I'll retire. Maybe. I don't know.
You know,
I'll-
I usually bring this up in here in my podcast because it is a ripple effect. You are educating me, and maybe I talk to someone here in Argentina that doesn't speak English, and I tell her like, "Oh, I talked to a period coach, and this, and it creates the ripple effect of, oh, I'm going to look that up. I'm going to talk to a doctor that really listens to me." So I think you're creating a ripple effect that is so big, and not just saving the life you are in contact with, but maybe indirectly saving someone's life. Because I would have died from pain back then, and I, like you, I couldn't keep anything down. So, but I was like, yeah, give me medication. I don't know. I begged them to gave me a hysterectomy. I wasn't, I didn't know what I was talking about at the moment, but I was in so much pain that it was like, please take it out. I don't know, do something. So being able to help those women that never had the chance to say, hey, this is not normal. There
Mhm.
are a lot of hormones and levels of hormones going out up and down in my cycle. How can I help that? Like you said, raw food or stews or understanding the fall season in your month that, oh, I'm nesting.
Yeah.
It's so important. And while you were saying that, I started recognizing my patterns
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
have that, oh, I want to crochet, or oh, sunshine. Or even
Yeah.
rain. I'm going to dance in the rain. And it's like, why don't I do that? Like, did I do that 10 days ago? No, it was too cold.
Yep.
And yeah,
100%. This is why we have a scholarship for the period coaching school, because I do have women around the world who come from other cultures, or just like a vast difference in price tag between where they live and their dollar versus our dollar, that kind of thing. But we have that's actually why we're starting a nonprofit so that we can do more of this outreach, and it's not coming out of my savings anymore because it's a lot of scholarships these days, and it's all coming out of me. I'm paying for them myself. So we're just starting a nonprofit branch to help supplement this, but we still have the scholarships and we will continue to do it. We'll just do it through the nonprofit down the line. But we're doing it because of that exact thing, right? Like we had one student who was in China, and so she goes out to rural China where no one speaks English and there is zero menstrual education, nothing. No, moms don't even, go, hey, you're going to need a pad one day. There's nothing. You just figure it out on your own. And so she goes out and she does education with that, and she goes out monthly, weekly, as much as she can, and does free classes that for them. And then she has her clients in the city that she pays, that pay for them. We have people from India who do that. We have people from Mexico who do that. We have people here in the US from Native American reservations
Yeah.
who do that, right? So we have people all over the world who are taking that education and then they're going back to their communities and they're teaching it in their communities with the food that that community knows and likes, with the activities that that community knows and likes, right? So they know what they can take and adapt it to their own communities, their own language, those kinds of things. And that's really been such an absolutely amazing thing to see down the line, that ripple effect where
Yeah.
now I'm seeing rural China has my teachings. It's been translated and it's sitting there, in all of these like little villages, just translated and sitting there for them. So it's just kind of interesting to see how it spreads like that here in the States as well as in other countries and abroad. And it is making a difference because at the end of the day, those are the people that really need the information. Like
Yeah.
they're the ones that should know that you're fertile 6 days out of the month. Then the rest of the time you're not. This is your window. This is how you know that. This is how you prevent pregnancy if you can't get your hands on birth control or other things. Like
Yeah.
there's just so much more control that you can have over your own life and your own future when you know your cycle, the whole thing from day one to day whatever that you don't get in our regular education system. And like the rich ladies can always go get their illegal abortions, or they can always go get their fertility help.
Yeah, pills. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the other women, the 60% of us or 70% of us these days that don't have access to that or don't have regular access to that or don't have, the societal support to go get those things done or whatever
Yeah.
it is. There's just so many things that we can improve, that we can help. That would mean more girls would finish their high school education if they had this information from the beginning. They could finish high school. We could have more educated women out there. We know for a fact that when more women are educated, they make more money. And we also know for a fact that when women make more money, their communities improve. They put it into their communities. The childhood death rates decrease when women have control of the money in a
Yeah.
community. So, like, we know for a fact that if we could help girls with their periods and their education, there's a reason that I also support Days for Girls, which is a nonprofit that works around the world helping girls get access to menstrual hygiene things like pads and whatnot so that they can go to school. And then, adding in the education and those kinds of things. So if we can bring in this education to more people around the world, hence the scholarship to the school,
Yeah.
then we can help prevent a lot of loss of women's lives, but we can also help increase education and income, and that benefits communities, that pulls people out of poverty. And it all just starts with understanding your menstrual cycle.
Yeah. But I think you said something that nails why we don't know enough. It's about control.
It is.
It's about us not having control of our lives.
Yep, it
Because
is.
something I mentioned earlier that I did a podcast with Stephanie, is her name, a social worker. We neither of us knew that our fertility window, so to speak, or timeline was 35. So there is this, I didn't know. I I planned my life around my education and who I was, and always thinking, oh, being a mom is a given. And no one told me, like, yeah, your fertility after 35, it's so there is a lot of things that are out of our control just because we don't get educated enough.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
also, but also, you, me, Stephanie, who I was talking about, we took upon us to educate ourselves for being able to educate others and help others to make right choices, live a more balanced life. Like you said, it's not the cure for all, it's an ongoing process, but
Yeah. Yeah. I often speak of remission. We don't cure, like in the school when we're talking about illnesses, PCOS, PMDD, endometriosis, Andy, all those kinds of things. We don't use cure. You're
yeah,
not curing it. You're putting it into remission. Because if you go back to your old habits, you'll be right back to the same pain
yeah,
level or stress level or depression or whatever. So we talk about it as remission, right? And that's that part of that active balance. If I can bring
yeah,
those hormones into a better balance, I can put myself into remission. I can
yeah,
feel relief from my symptoms. I can feel better. But if I go, oh, well, I'm good, I'm done, I'm cured, then the next month you're right back to having those old terrible periods again, or those old terrible mood
yeah,
swings, or whatever it is. So it is one of those things where we, as coaches and as training coaches, I try to really hone the concept of we're not curing, we are active remission. You're
yeah,
actively in this state. But that's again, that's that act of being present. And I really think that between the menstrual cycle and perimenopause and menopause and all those life stages, learning how to be more present and having that example in our cycles of being more present is really a gift, though it doesn't feel like it necessarily in the time.
yeah.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes you're like, oh God.
Yeah, but I feel like when I have the information, I can choose what to do with it instead of not knowing and asking to the sky, why me? You know, it's
Yeah,
like, okay,
100%. Information is the game changer. You can make an informed decision. It's like hormone therapy and perimenopause, right? This is a topic that comes up constantly. And I know that's because my audience is around my age. So a lot of them are in perimenopause, but they're always talking about, well, what about hormone therapy? I heard it causes cancer and this and that and the other. And so we have to go, okay, well, there was one study that did show that progestin causes cancer, but that's what's in birth control. So you took that just fine with no
yeah,
worries. And also, that's not what's in hormone therapy now. You can end up with progestin, but as long as you tell your doctor, I don't want progestin, I just want progesterone, you're fine. So, in those, so XYZ. So it's like, yes, there's all of this information. This is what's really true. Like the headlines said this, but the actual study was not the same. The outcome was not actually what that headline said. So you have to look past the headlines. You have to actually look at the studies, actually look at those things. But then you can make an informed decision, right? Endometriosis. Will I add estrogen into my hormone therapy? Probably not. As
same.
endometriosis makes its own estrogen, it's an estrogen thriving disease. Maybe I'll get suppositories. Maybe if because then it's more localized and it's not like into the whole system in the same way that like a patch or a pill is. So maybe I'll get suppositories that I use occasionally just
When
to
I
like,
just need that,
but I will not be adding estrogen in like somebody without endometriosis would be doing. So I'm making an informed decision for me, for my
yeah,
body. Whereas like Katie, my podcast co-host, does not have endometriosis. And she's like, oh, I've already got my estrogen. And I'm like, okay, how's it going? Like I'm living vicariously through you now.
yeah,
She's doesn't. so we have the information, we can make the choices that are best for us. We talked to our doctors and came to this conclusion because we've found doctors that are good and actually understand. So we can talk to them and have those conversations. But if you don't have the information, well, I mean,
Yeah.
after that study came out in, what was it, the 90s, all of these women were ripped off of their hormone replacement therapy,
Yeah.
whether they were taking progestin or not. So all these poor women had already started going through perimenopause and going through all of these symptoms and things. Finally, we're getting some relief from hormone therapy. And then it was ripped away from them because a journalist wrote an article that headline hormone therapy causes cancer, even though it was a multi-branch study and only one branch saw that happen, but that wasn't part of the article and no one read. So it's like all these poor women went through menopause twice,
Yeah.
essentially, for a generation, which is just mean. I mean, that's just cruel to do without, and like you're a doctor, you should have read those studies. Why didn't you read the studies before you ripped your patients away from, anyway, that's a whole other rant, but it is one of those things where, like, if you have the information, you can make a decision that's better for you, that's adapted to you, your unique needs, your unique wants,
Yeah.
those things. It just makes me
And
crazy.
even fight for what is right for you. And I don't like the word fight, but sometimes
Sometimes it is.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And
But
sometimes
if
it does happen.
you don't know, you just have to bow and say, thank you, I'm going to take that. That's it.
Yeah. I didn't like that feeling. That's how I felt in
Yeah.
high school when I was having those terrible periods. And they were like, well, we'll try this, we'll try that, we'll try this. And, I was on one birth control that was experimental and they pulled it because it was killing too many women.
Oh, great.
Well, we know all birth control kills women at some level. There's deaths
Yeah.
every year from every kind of birth control, but this one killed too many, which has to be a lot
Yeah.
for us to care about it killing women because we don't really care about killing women in this country. So it had to kill a lot of women. I'm just lucky to be here, frankly.
Yeah.
And I look back at that and I think, oh my God, I really we knew nothing. We had no
Yeah.
access to anything. We didn't really have the internet yet. Like we really didn't have access to information or knowledge. We just did what the doctor said and it could have killed me easily. And then they put me on pain pills that if I had a more of an addictive personality, I'd probably doing a podcast on addiction instead of periods. But
Yeah.
thankfully I don't. So we're not we're not there. But it's just like all of these things I think about is like in high school, I was on drugs that could kill me, drugs that could addict me and then kill me, drugs that could have led me to worse things, and all of it completely uninformed.
And the risk of something because that happened to me. Like
Mhm.
I started having these really, really painful periods, and they were like, "You don't have nothing." And once a month, I would sit down, and there wasn't the transvaginal
Mhm.
op-
Ultrasound?
ultrasound. It was like the one that you had to drink water for 3 hours,
Too.
and I went every fucking day to to have an ultrasound until they discovered a 4 centimeters. I don't know in inches how much it is, but oh yeah, it's about to rupture, and it's like I can die for that
Yeah.
because it's internal bleeding, and you're like, oh no, you're super dramatic.
Yeah, I had that same thing happen. I had an ultrasound and they were like, "Oh yeah, you have a cyst." I was like, "Okay, great." And then when I went back a couple months later, they're like, "Oh, the cyst is gone. We can't, this is crazy. It's just disappeared." And I was like, I didn't just disappear. I mean, my God.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm. And this is why we do what we do.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, this is why we've turned our life's work into education and
yeah.
spreading information.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Love, we are, I think, around the hour. So,
Yes.
do you want to say
All day.
anything? I think we could do a whole series about. a lot of
Probably.
things because I have more questions, but at the same time, I didn't want to do the episode just on information because it can be too much for people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think my parting thoughts are just, read, research, look at the studies, look past the headlines, dig a little deeper and find out for yourself. I mean, it's one of the principles of period coaching school, but it's one of the things that you can do just at home on your
Yeah,
own and, keep and dig into it, see what it actually says. And then just feel like you have a handle on it, right? At first, it's always overwhelming because there's just so much, and it's all like, oh my God, this is a whole huge thing.
yeah,
But get enough that you feel like you have a handle on it. Learn yourself, chart. I mean, at the end of the day, chart. I have a free charting mandala because that you can use for your entire life for free. That's how much I believe in charting, that I could never make a single penny, but you could have a whole lifetime of charting laid out in front of you because that's how much I believe in it. So chart, track, understand. It's not just putting your period on your calendar. It's every day,
yeah.
seeing how each day feels so that you can predict, okay, now I know what tomorrow's going to feel like. I know what tomorrow's going to feel like. So really start charting, start learning your cycle in your body in a way that's not outcome based. You're not doing it to get pregnant or to not get pregnant, or it's not outcome based. It's like taking all of those online quizzes, but
Yeah, it's
better.
self-knowledge.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
self-knowledge, it's for me, it's happiness because if I know myself better, I can choose to have a better day.
Yeah. I know I always joke, like, you know what your Hogwarts house is, you know what your astrology sign is, you know what but you don't know what phase of your menstrual cycle you're in. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And what
know
I
what,
can tell you is I didn't know because no one told me. Now I have no excuses. It's like I'm going to learn this shit.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. We didn't know. None of us knew. None of us had, and it's like you can't be mad at your mom. She didn't know. No one knew.
Yeah,
But now we're learning. So use that to your advantage. Change the generational cycles, break those cycles,
yeah.
make generational lasting change by just learning your own cycle and your phases and what they feel like for you. That's it. So easy, but it will break cycles, generation after generation after generation of cycles.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much for being my guest. And
Having me.
talk to you soon.